Hello and welcome to another episode of Iron Maiden-A-Thon. Today we'll be talking about Iron Maiden's fifth album, that is Powerslave. You can see from the ancient Egyptian theme here on the cover and on the back. This is one of the most popular Iron Maiden albums. It is among their best as well, as you'll get to in the track-by-track breakdown of the album. But first, we'll have to go through a little bit of background on this one, and so this is obviously coming off of Peace of Mind, which is another great Iron Maiden album. If you didn't check out that review, check it out. But this one, they basically kept the same formula. They kept the same crew. This is the first time where they've repeated a lineup going forward from one album to another, and they kept the same lineup for the next two albums after this as well. The album was produced and mixed by the same person, Martin Birch, the pool bully, as he's listed on here. You can hear that story in a little bit. It was recorded in the same place in the Bahamas. It was released September 3rd, 1984. It was recorded from February to June 1984. They wrote a lot of the songs in New Jersey, and then they went obviously to the beautiful beaches of the Bahamas to record it. It was mixed at Electric Lady Studios in New York. And let's just get to a little bit of trivia here, because there's a lot about this album, actually, because it's quite popular among fans. They just recently did a Tim's Twitter listening party for their 666th episode on this album, and not Peace of Mind, which was a little weird to me that they were doing it for the number 666. But got to learn a bunch of new information about this album that I didn't know before. So it is the last album to have an instrumental. That's not anything new. People knew that up to this one. Only album where Dave Murray didn't have a writing credit, which is crazy because Dave Murray usually has at least one on a lot of their best albums, and a lot of their best songs come from Dave Murray. It was followed up by the World Slavery Tour, which was one of their longest tours, and one of the longest tours in human history. They went from August of 1984 all the way to July of 1985. They started in Poland and ended in California. They took from this album, they made a live album that is one of the greatest of all time in Live After Death. It was recorded at the Long Beach Arena in beautiful Southern California, where I am. Part of it was also recorded at the Hammersmith Odeon in London, but the parts that we all know and love were recorded at the Long Beach Arena. This is one of the best live albums ever. If you don't like live albums, I would really give this one a shot, because the energy that they put off, the crowd reaction, the crowd interaction that you get on this album, especially the song Running Free, it's amazing. Give this one a listen if you haven't found a live album that you like listening to. This one might change your mind. But we'll put that one back, because that one's for another time after we're done with all of the studio albums. We're probably going to go through the live albums as well. That one should be a little bit shorter, though. It debuted at number 2 in the United Kingdom. It was beaten out by another EMI record, That's What I Call Music, or Now That's What I Call Music, Volume 3. We're on Volume whatever the fuck now, but Now That's What I Call Music, Volume 3 beat this album out on the charts. I'm sure they were happy about that. According to Adrian Smith and Nico McBrain, this album just shot them into the stratosphere in regards to popularity. You know, before this album, they didn't have people hanging out outside their hotels, hundreds of people. After this album, they did. It was a huge, huge album. And if you think that this album is, played out or gimmicky or whatever, or it's just, it really is where Iron Maiden became Iron Maiden. Number of the Beast, that's the start. Peace of Mind, that's a continuation of that. Powerslave is the perfection, the just distillation of that formula down to its best. It's not my favorite Iron Maiden album. It's not their best album. It's not better than Number of the Beast, in my opinion, but it is among that class of just perfection. There are some not shitty songs, not bad songs, but for Iron Maiden standards, they don't hold up to Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind. This album is a very close third to those two albums, of course. And then Martin Birch was listed as the pool bully in the credits here. He's listed as that because when they were in the Bahamas, whenever anybody was near the pool, he would shove them in. And so that's why he got that nickname. We'll go through the little booklet really quickly here. I know you all love that. I'll show you the inside of the disc here. So you've got Eddie there on the cover. And then we've got the back art, which is Eddie breaking through the wall into your living room on your stereo system, whatever the hell you want to do. Derek Riggs did the album art, which is among the band's favorites. They've brought back this sort of vibe and theme a couple times, obviously on the World Slavery Tour and on the Somewhere Back in Time World Tour that I saw them on for the first time. And then obviously the liner notes and the notes in there are actually called the Slave Notes. So there we've got the lyrics for Aces High, and then Steve Harris. We've got 2 Minutes to Midnight with the single album artwork, which is also on my t-shirt. We've got Dave Murray. We've got all the wonderful words for Lost for Words, Big Oro. We've got Flash of the Blade. We've got Nico right there. We've got the lyrics for the Duelists. We've got Bruce Dickinson. We've got the awesome stage for the World Slavery Tour with the gigantic Eddie in the background there. We've got Back in the Village and Adrian Smith. We've got the lyrics for Powerslave and some nice shots of the tour. We've got the lyrics for Rime of the Ancient Mariner. They take up both pages. We've got another shot of the stage. Then we've got the last shot of the band there. Always looking cool, if anything. We've got the thank yous and all that, and the Iron Maiden fan club information, and that's it for the booklet. But yeah, this album, like I said before, is the album that shot them into the goddamn stratosphere. They blew up after this around the world. They toured in Poland, in South America for the first time. They played at Rock in Rio in 1985 in front of 300,000 people. They were guests of Queen on that. Bruce Dickinson said he could hear them singing in their dress room, Bohemian Rhapsody. This is just where Iron Maiden became Iron Maiden on this World Slavery Tour. They went through for almost a year of full touring without a break. So go figure on that. The first single released was 2 Minutes to Midnight. Here's the single album art right there. I'm not wearing my Powerslave t-shirt that I have because I do have almost every studio album on a t-shirt, because it was a sort of low quality, I want to say it's a bootleg or a knockoff that one of my ex-girlfriends got me that is disintegrating. I have a tank top that has the Powerslave album art on it, but seeing as how it's freezing outside, I'm not wearing a tank top. I'm already cold enough as it is. So I chose the 2 Minutes to Midnight shirt because why not? We're doing the review. So 2 Minutes to Midnight obviously was the first single released. Aces High was the second single released, and both of those songs are classics. So we'll just go through, starting right now, with Aces High. Aces High is... it's either this or Moonchild for me that are the perfect Iron Maiden concert openers. If you're going to go to see an Iron Maiden concert and you hear... that's why on the Made in England tour, they played both of them. They used Moonchild as the concert opener, and then they used Aces High as the encore opener, because they are just that good at getting people fucking pumped. Especially Aces High. You hear Doctor Doctor like every Iron Maiden show, and then you go and you hear the Winston Churchill speech, the Fight on the Landing Ground speech, and then you hear the opening riff of the song, and the band explodes on the stage. On the Legacy of the Beast World Tour, they had a gigantic, I want to say it's inflatable, Spitfire plane that's sitting there, flying on the stage. If you haven't seen pictures of it or look up videos of it, it's insanity. You need to see it if you're an Iron Maiden fan, and you need to see that tour, obviously, whenever they come back. Aces High, it's about the Battle of Britain in World War II. It's about the RAF pilots and all of that. It is a fantastic song lyrically. It's a fantastic song musically. It gets you fucking pumped out of your mind. It's probably going to make my car insurance premiums rise at some point when I get a speeding ticket for listening to the song. It's just that good. It is one of their 10 best songs that they've ever recorded, and it's really hard for them to top it as an opener on this album or any concert that they do. 2 Minutes to Midnight is the second single, obviously. It is usually followed up either right after or very close after, if you're looking at the Legacy of the Beast tour set list. With Aces High, they are brothers and sisters. They go together. Aces High into 2 Minutes to Midnight. The opening riff for 2 Minutes to Midnight, I don't know what gets you pumped up even more. Aces High or 2 Minutes to Midnight's riff. It's insanity how they did this on this. Also, Aces High was written by Steve Harris. 2 Minutes to Midnight is written by Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith. Together, these songs go together. That's why I'm blending them together here, because you can't have one without the other. You need to have both of them, and so they're just both amazing songs. 2 Minutes to Midnight is on, I think, Guitar Hero 5. So if you picked up from Iron Maiden from that, good for you. What more can I say? It's just, both songs have fantastic solos. They're really heavy. They are two of the quintessential Iron Maiden songs. They're both crowd pleasers. 2 Minutes to Midnight sometimes gets played on tours that Aces High doesn't, as sort of the, oh, we just played our 2 new songs off of our new album, let's give them something old. It's to Midnight. The content of the song, it's about the, what am I going to say, the nuclear clock, the bulletin for atomic scientists. They have a clock that doesn't actually function, but it functions as a warning to the world of some sort of annihilation that the human race is going to face. It was at 2 Minutes to Midnight in the 80s, which was the closest that it's ever been to midnight, midnight being the total annihilation of the human race. It got as far as 16 minutes in the 90s, and then now we're at, I think, about 1 3/4 minutes from midnight. So that's due to the orange orangutan who was in office as the President of the United States, and also due to climate change and all of that. So hopefully we can get that as far away from midnight as possible. So we are actually past 2 Minutes to Midnight, so this song might be a warning. We are past the point of that warning. The next song is the last instrumental that Iron Maiden has recorded, and that is Lost for Words, Big Aura, and obviously they called it Lost for Words because it has no words, so they are lost for words. It's a little joke, whatever. The instrumental is so-so. I think Transylvania or the Ides of March, which doesn't really count as an instrumental to me, but Transylvania I still think is the best Iron Maiden instrumental that's out there. This one's fun. It's kind of cool sounding. It's sort of adventurous sounding with the guitars and the tones, but it's just an instrumental. I don't know what else you could say about it, really. I'm surprised that Iron Maiden hasn't done an instrumental after this point. Surely they have some songs that they can write that don't have lyrics or whatever, and put it and slap it on an album, but I'm sure that they would just love to write songs that have lyrics instead now. Next up is Flash of the Blade. Also, Flash of the Blade is written by Bruce Dickinson. Lost for Words is written by Steve Harris. I keep forgetting that. But Flash of the Blade is another one of the songs that could have been a single on a lot of bands' discographies. Here, it's just sort of stuck in the middle of Powerslave. It was on I want to say an Argento movie soundtrack. That's where some people might know it from. Avenged Sevenfold has covered it. It's an okay song. It's a Bruce Dickinson song. You can tell the Bruce Dickinson songs, they're very speedy and they get to the point and they have very normalized song structure, at least the ones of the 80s. This one's kind of fun. It's the chorus will get stuck in your head. It's sort of like Sun and Steel in that way, but it just wasn't, I guess, good enough or whatever. They didn't think it was good enough to make into a single. After Flash of the Blades, we have The Duelists by Steve Harris, which is about the Ridley Scott movie from 1977. This one's surprising that Bruce Dickinson wouldn't have a take on this, seeing as how it's about, duelists, fencing and stuff, and he's a professional level fencer, or at least he was. I'm not sure if he is still, but he was a badass. He was a fencer. So it's all about the content of that movie, and this one, I think, is... I'm not counting the instrumental, but I think this is definitely the weakest song on the album. If it's your favorite Iron Maiden song, I'm sorry. But it's just, it's not super memorable. It's really long. It's like 6 minutes long. So you'd think that, I think they could have cut out at least 2 minutes of it and made it into a sort of speedier, faster, quicker song. But it's whatever. It's the worst song on a really awesome album. So shoot me. It's fine. It's fine, and this would probably be the best song on some other band's album, but on Iron Maiden's, one of their best albums, it's not. The next song is Back in the Village, which is written by Adrian Smith and Bruce Dickinson. You can tell that because of the song structure and the way it sounds. They write similar songs together. They like writing songs together. And so this one is sort of a sequel to The Prisoner. It follows that show's plot line. This song I didn't like listening to for a long time. I don't know why. Maybe they're just the content. But I remember being at Cal State Northridge, where I went to college, and walking back to the dorms and just having my phone on shuffle, and this song came up, and I was like, "Wow, this song is way better than I thought. I should probably revisit it." And so every once in a while, it pops up, and it pops up more, and it gets added to more playlists. That's how I decide, how I like songs. I put them on playlists when I'm working out or driving or whatever, and it just keeps popping up more and more because it's just so good. It's incredibly underrated in my opinion. The chorus is great. Just the vocals for Bruce Dickinson, they soar in this song. The guitar riffs, especially the one at the beginning, is just gets you going. A lot of that's a hallmark of this album, is that a lot of the songs are very, just hard and driving. It's a very heavy album in sort of Iron Maiden's way of being heavy. But a lot of the songs are really high tempo, high energy, and they get you going. And so I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to this album as their favorite Iron Maiden album or whatever. But it's just very good in that way. And so after Back in the Village, we have the title track, Powerslave, which was written by Bruce Dickinson. It has a vocal intro that if you're just shuffling through, you might miss depending on the version of the album that you have. I have the remaster from, I believe, 2007, I want to say. But it has the vocal intro. It's not a vocal intro. It's just like a sort of mummy sounding ooh ho 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 laugh, and that's stuck on the end of Back in the Village on my issue. On recent issues, it is on the front of Powerslave where it belongs. I don't care either way. The vocal intro doesn't add or take away anything to me. It's just kind of there. Powerslave is my favorite song off the album. Which says a lot because the next song is one of the best Iron Maiden songs ever. To have an album that you've recorded with 4 of your best songs on it, like 4 of the top 15 maybe, and then another really underrated track as well, it's kind of astounding how they did this. Powerslave tells obviously the story of a pharaoh that is mummified, killed, whatever, goes to the afterlife, and is a slave to the power of death. And so this song has my favorite Iron Maiden guitar solo. I'm sure it's a lot of yours out there as well. If I'm driving, if I'm writing, if I'm doing anything, and I hear the guitar solo, I have to air guitar it. It's just you got to do it. It's kind of it might be like legally binding at this point that you have to. So everybody out there, if you're listening and you want to hear the guitar solos on Powerslave, you have to air guitar to it. I will find out. But yeah, the song, its lyrical content is great. It tells the story of the album art. It fits with the whole aesthetic. It is, I think they brought it out on the Book of Souls tour, which is another sort of connection there between the Book of Souls content and the Powerslave content that I didn't think of before this. But it is one of their best. It is one of their most lyrically expressive and creative songs that they have out there. It's just one of my favorites, and it lives on forever. It's in the top 10 easy of their best songs. And finally, we get to what was their longest song up until the Book of Souls and the Empire of the Suns. It is Rime of the Ancient Mariner at 13 minutes and 45 seconds. You get 13 minutes of Iron Maiden on this. And this song, if it wasn't for Powerslave, would be my favorite on the record, but it comes in tied for second, I guess, with Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight. Don't make me pick, please. But it is just from the opening riff to everything in the song. It just has it's like 5 songs in one, and then it comes back to the beginning, and it tells the story of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. If you've ever taken an English class in history or an English class in high school, this song helped me get an A on a paper because I had to write about the Rime of the Ancient Mariner and retell it, and guess what? I didn't fucking read it. I just listened to the song. And the song does a fantastic job of retelling the epic poem. It combines that with heavy metal, so it's the perfect blend. It is Iron Maiden. It is Iron Maiden distilled down to its most essence. It is lyrics from literary sources, heavy metal, progressive metal rock, lots of bass, thundering guitar, galloping riffs, everything put together into one song, and you get 13 minutes of it with this. And so it is just one of the quintessential Iron Maiden songs. And if you want to show somebody what Iron Maiden is after you do the introduction, you give them Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Because if you give somebody a 13-minute song, they're going to get the fuck out of my face. But after you give them the Trooper and Number of the Beast and Aces High, you say, hey, come here. I got you hooked. Come listen to Rime of the Ancient Mariner. You won't regret it. The song has a spoken word section in the middle. It is one of their favorite songs to play live. They haven't brought it out since the Somewhere Back in Time World Tour. I'm not sure if they ever will. But it is one of everybody in the band's favorite. If you go listen to that Tim's Twitter listening party, all of them wax and wane about this song and how much they love it, how much they love playing it. It is that good. It is that cool to see live. It's just cool to see a 13-minute song live to me. I don't know. It keeps the audience's attention the entire time. You have to think like you go see Tool or you go see fucking whatever people that Dream Theater. I love Dream Theater, but you go see them and they're, oh, man, it's fucking, oh my god, you're playing 12-minute songs. Holy shit, this is not like that. You will never look at your watch while listening to this. You will go, where the fuck did the 13 minutes go? Like, where did the time go? Because it's over before you think it's over, and it's just a perfect song in my opinion. It's the perfect Iron Maiden song after you show somebody whatever the introduction is. So the aftermath, they wanted to take a 6-month break after almost a year of touring, and that's unheard of now. You know, Iron Maiden takes years in between their tours, year off or whatever. They've gotten a couple years off now. But they wanted to take a 6-month break. They took a 4-month break instead, and they came back into the studio to record Somewhere in Time, which is a vast, vast departure from the sound of this album, from the sound of classic Iron Maiden, this trio of albums that they have that are among the greatest in heavy metal history. They added synthesizers to the guitars, they added keyboards, they added 80s sounding stuff, and did it work? You'll have to find out in the next video after this. But for now, we'll just conclude with Powerslave with the rating. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 in the Iron Maiden-A-Thon written reviews that I did a while ago. I'm going to bump that up to a 10 out of 10 because The Duelists might be the worst song on the album, but it is not a terrible song. This album together, it has 4 of their best songs. 4 of their best, like 15, maybe 12, all on one album. You can't get that with a lot of other bands unless it's like Metallica or whatever, where they have Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, whatever you want to pick. This album is perfection. It's splitting hairs when you go, oh, this one has a 10 out of 10, this one has a 10 out of 10, this is a 10 out of 10, and this one's a 10 out of 10, but it's 4th on that list. But it is just amazing. I can't talk enough about this album. This is a lot of people's favorite Iron Maiden albums, including like Chris Jericho and I think Eddie Trunk. But you can't get better than this. You can't get better than if you want a combination. These 2 albums put together. This is a heavy metal education right here. You get the best of the studio, and then you get the best of the live version. This is so amazing. It's life-changing to hear this. If you haven't ever heard a live album before, that album is literally life-changing. If you want to say, like, I don't even know what else is out there, The Song Remains the Same by Led Zeppelin is among people's favorite live albums. That is better than anything you can ever put out. Any band, that album captures the essence of Iron Maiden. This album captures the essence of Iron Maiden. If you haven't heard this album and you've sat here for 25 minutes listening to me, go listen to it, please. I beg of you. This album is amazing. I'm going to say that about the next 2 albums as well, but it seems like these 2, Peace of Mind gets lost. This one gets talked about, but people only talk about the famous songs, the first 2 songs. You need to listen to the whole thing to get the whole picture. And so that is it from me and Eddie to you for now. I didn't have any merch from this album. I have a little tiny figure, but there's no pop figures. There's no anything like that. So Iron Maiden, get on that. Let me give you more money than I've given you already. But that's it from me to you for now, from Eddie, from the Egyptian Eddie with the hole above his dick here. But I will see you again at another time for Somewhere in Time. Thank you for watching. Please do all that YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, share it, show your friends, show your mom. I don't give a shit if you watch it, if you just click on it. Just show your friends, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. I have to say that now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.